This is Salif Diarra, a local health worker. These are some of the 123 village children who survive life-threatening illnesses because of his efforts. These are the paths that Salif walks, sometimes miles each day, to visit all the sick children in his village. This is Minata, a mother who was afraid she'd lose her 4-year-old daughter to malaria. And this is Maimuna, one of the many children who got her joy back thanks to Salif's efforts. This is you becoming part of the story. You are one step away from helping local health workers like Salif make the good go even further. Visit goodgoes.org to see the many ways you can help. Brought to you by Save the Children and the Ad Council.
This is Al Sharpton, and I'm keeping it real on WGCV 620 AM, KC, Columbia, where knowledge is power.
Hello everyone, this is Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Don't curse, speak English. Armstrong. Virtuous society. Armstrong. I dare you to listen. Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong. Elevate your mind. Armstrong. I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers. The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. We have, of course, Milo Pinckney always joins us at this time every Tuesday. Hello, Milo. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Milo? Is this Milo?
Good afternoon, Armstrong. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Sounds like you're eating Milo.
No, I don't know why it's...
It's okay. And then I know we have a very special guest today. Michael Velarde is joining us, who was born in Brooklyn, New York, and grew up on Long Island, New York. He attended Ward Melville High. He also has a show called The Mike Velarde Show, which can be seen at 1 p.m. on Saturdays in Nassau County. And he's joining us today. Mike Velarde, how are you? I don't know. Somebody hung up. I got to figure out who hung up.
No, I'm back.
Oh, Milo, you hung up on me.
Yeah, we had a bad connection.
Now we have a far better connection. How you doing, Milo? What's on your mind?
Oh, Armstrong.
As we wait for Mr. Velarde, huh?
I'm looking at what's going on with our GOP, and I'm trying to figure out how we can unify our party so that we don't lose this election to another 4 years as a buffoon.
Don't call the president a buffoon. Don't do that. Come on now. Not with this. Don't. He can't do that. Milo.
Let me
Milo. As much as I criticize the president in a constructive way, I would never refer to him as a buffoon. Come on. Well,
he's not a buffoon, but this is buffoonery. What we're doing. This is utter buffoonery. But
that's the GOP. It's not the president.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
Okay. So talk about the GOP and their buffoonery.
Well, the buffoonery of the GOP is we're too busy fighting amongst ourselves and not fighting against our enemy. And our enemy is damaging our nation, failing to defend our Constitution, while our party stands up on stage and ridicules and criticizes each one and one another. And we've got to get focused on real issues and stop playing games with one another.
Well, why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us then the real difference between the GOP probable eventual nominee Mitt Romney and the president we have in the White House now? What significantly will change if Mitt Romney wins?
Well, I am hoping, and I have to qualify it by saying it's substantively a hope. I'm hoping that. That's funny. Here we are talking about hope, and Obama's in office. Romney, I would hope that Mitt Romney would restore our focus on a strong defense, would restore our focus on correcting our economic deficiencies, would demand some accountability from China with respect to protecting intellectual property and copyright patents and technology patents. And I think that I would hope that Mitt Romney would focus on the relationship between the euro and the dollar to stabilize the global economy, and the way you do that is by stabilizing the American economy. Because while people on the other side of the oceans don't seem to like to hear it, the reality of it is the American economy drives the world.
Yes, it does. And, you know, I am being told that our very distinguished guest, Michael Velarde, is joining us, who's joining us to discuss how an excessive tax burden and a powerful IRS impacts businesses, tips, and strategies on dealing with the IRS. Michael Velarde, let us try this again. Welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. Michael? Well, I don't think he's there. So, Milo, since Mr. Velarde is not there, maybe you can tell us, in addition to the other things No, he hasn't called in yet. Okay, thank you. I just saw his name on my screen with a beautiful bald eagle by his name. So listen, what is it that you want? So I'm just trying to figure out, I don't know, I don't get whipped out of shape anymore about these politicians like I used to, because, Milo, I've got to tell you, I don't see a world of a difference between Romney and the current president.
Well, no, okay. I think one of the differences that you can't ignore is that Romney understands the relationship between business and the success of this country, both from a geopolitical perspective as well as an international recognition perspective as well as an economic one. And I think he has a much clearer understanding of the roles of those components of our daily American lives than Obama does. And I think that as a operational manager, he is somebody who has a proven track record and a solid history on building and operating organizations that get things done. So those are substantive differences.
I had so many people tweet us this morning about Romney's appearance on Scarborough and dealing with the issues of Medicare and seniors, and how he just totally shirked his responsibility and did not even want to deal with the issue. How he did not even want to take a stand. He showed no courage and no backbone. You know how sad that is?
I interpreted that differently.
Did you watch it?
I caught excerpts from it, so I'll qualify my response by saying I only got bits and pieces of it. But I interpreted his response very differently. I think that Romney didn't avoid the subject matter because of a lack of caring. I think he avoided the subject matter because of a lack of specific data. And one thing I do like about Romney, as you have commented on me, if it's a subject matter that I'm not versed on, I'm not opposed to saying, look, I'm just not strong enough to voice an opinion on that yet. As a presidential candidate, he doesn't have that luxury. And I think what he did was, to the best of his ability, navigate away from it, since he was not as well versed on it as he felt prudence dictated.
But he should be. But he should be at this stage, especially given as governor and what he instituted in the state. Are you kidding me?
Well, there are so many issues that a public official needs to be focused on right now, but the biggest one, and the only one I'm really concerned with him focusing on as a primary issue, is the economy and the associated components thereof: jobs, taxation, and economic balance on the global stage. And that's what he needs to focus on right now. And you want to know something? And I know that your phone's going to light up when I say this, but I am less concerned with senior care issues at the moment, with public assistance issues, with social issues, because none of them will have any value if this country is bankrupt. We won't ever be able to address them from a bankrupt position. So we need a president and we need a leadership that is going to focus on stabilizing what makes this country work. And this is a capitalist society, and in a capitalist society you must have a stable economy to sustain it. And if you don't, everything falls by the wayside. So frankly, I'm less concerned with him focusing on that right now. Focus on the economy, nothing else.
Here's my issue with your statement. Listen.
I knew there was one coming.
No, let me just explain this to you. At the time, That is the question that he's being asked. It's not being asked about the questions you talk about. There are times when you talk about those questions, there's a time and place. And at that time and place, you should address those questions. But at the moment, in a place like Florida, that's a very important issue, because that is the that is the heart and soul of the voter there. And the fact that if he wants to earn the trust of Florida voters and wants to secure the top spot in that Florida caucus tonight, then he should be able to address that issue.
I hear you, Armstrong, but let me provide this thought. While everything you're saying makes utter sense in the political perspective, from a purely right side focus of I'm a manager and I'm running my business, I need to focus on the things that are going to fortify and stabilize the foundation of my business. America is a business. And if he does not focus and stabilize the economy, he can't do anything to address the individual partisan needs of the Florida senior voter.
Yeah, but while you recover the economy, people have to deal with the issues in their lives that affect them the most. I mean, if there was a good, bad, and different economy, there are issues that people must face that they want to address. I'm not going to say that my issues as a business owner, similar to yours, trumps their concern.
No, and that's because in many respects, we approach it from a political perspective as opposed to a need perspective. You know, the nice thing about being a pilot and a sailor is when you're out in the middle of the ocean and a storm comes up, only thing you focus on is keeping the boat upright and the sails full and heading on course.
Hold that point. Keep that point on course. This is the Armstrong Williams Show. Milo Pinckney is in the house, and we'll be back. Don't go away. Stay there. We will be back.
Armstrong. Armstrong.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
Preventive care is a critical component of limiting lifetime complications for persons with diabetes. According to the Society for Vascular Surgery, when complications develop, aggressive management of contributing factors to atherosclerosis, otherwise known as hardening of the arteries, is also very important to managing the disease and preventing stroke, heart attack, and leg amputations. Atherosclerosis is a known side effect of long-term diabetes that, in the worst-case scenarios, may lead to blockages in the diabetic's heart, brain, or leg arteries. If you have diabetes, see a vascular surgeon to care for your arteries and blood vessels. Today's vascular surgeons are the only specialists who are skilled in all vascular therapies. They're comprehensively trained in medical, endovascular, and surgical therapies. Vascular surgeons are the experts who provide the best diagnosis and treatment for vascular conditions. To learn more about your vascular health and to find a vascular surgeon, visit the Society for Vascular Surgery's website at www.vascularweb.org.
Travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com. For more information on The Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
What if your son or your husband,
your brother, came back from the service with a spinal cord injury?
Paralyzed Veterans of America helps our veterans secure their benefits. You can help. Visit PDA.org, a public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
If you have a question or comment for today's Armstrong Williams Show, call 733-5620. That's 733-5620. Call and be a part of today's Armstrong Williams Show on 620 AM, where knowledge is power.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Milo Pinckney, before we go to the phone lines, you were telling a story about sailing and what it does to the individual.
Well, you know, what I was saying was that like sailing and flying, one of the disciplines teach you about prioritizing focus. And sometimes you have to, throw all things aside to focus on the things that are going to keep you alive. And when you're at 30,000 feet and you have a failure, you can't get upset with the mechanic for not making the repair properly. You have to focus on getting on the ground. Romney needs to focus on getting on the ground. Getting on the ground in terms of America is stabilizing our economy, because if our government does not have revenue, it can't provide funds to support senior issues. So while I understand the sensitivities in Florida, the reality of it is, if we don't have the dollars, we can't pay the bill.
Let me ask you this before we go to the phone lines. Mm-hmm. If Romney or Gingrich were president and had been president for the last 3 years, what would be so different now?
Can't say definitively, but I can tell you what I think the difference would be. In the case of Romney, I think he would have put a few greater controls on the trade values on Wall Street. He would have forced business. He would have created incentives to enable business to reinvest. Back in the days of the ITC, there was a notable incentive to reinvest in your business. I'm almost sure Romney would have installed mechanisms of that nature to solicit and motivate investment in small business. I think he would have taken a hard line and forced banks to loan, because if you don't have money in circulation, you can't stimulate the economy. And I think he would have put greater emphasis on having a strong defense and establishing an international interface of strength. Obama has been too focused on being the great mediator and not the great leader.
Jacob, thank you for calling. What is on your mind?
Good evening, gentlemen. Your guest there has some serious issues with our president, and they go beyond his politics. I mean, some of the things he just described are just totally out there. But I want to focus back in on what he said about Mitt Romney and Mitt Romney's ability to run businesses and all this kind of good stuff. And I've been trying to research what Mitt Romney has actually done by himself. That, everybody's giving him all this credit for being this great businessman. As far as I can tell, he joined Bain Capital as a partner. These businesses that he claims to have run and managed, he's never set foot in. And this idea that the United States of America is a business, is a corporation that needs to be managed in such a way is a very dangerous thought process, because what an executive in a company, his number one priority is to manage the P&L statement, profit and loss. And you manage that through payroll, you manage that through labor, you manage that through your inventory. So if a man thinks that way and he's in charge of people's pension, he's in charge of people's Social Security benefits, Mitt Romney is not going to say, well, we got 10,000 seniors retiring every month. We got to figure out a way to support them. He's going to say, well, we need to make money this way, so we're going to cut their benefits here on people that we can cut it on. So to all you Republicans out there who love Mitt Romney is a businessman. Mitt Romney is a shark. And Mitt Romney will say anything, he will do anything to improve his business partner's P&L statement. So just be mindful of that when you're hating the president, a man who spent his life, his early childhood in poverty, who went to Chicago. He could have went anywhere in this world, He decided to go to Chicago, one of the most hostile and dangerous environments politically, and style of living that you could go to at that time, and become a community organizer. Start literally on the ground, on the cement, and work his way up to being the president, as opposed to this guy who comes from this ownership society. People like him and Donald Trump and the Koch brothers, who got their money from their fathers, who actually did some work, and then they walk around like, they achieved all that success, and then they can manage this world when they haven't built anything, don't have any calluses on their hands.
Let me give Milo a chance to respond to you, Jacob.
Okay.
Milo.
All right.
Well, Jacob, I appreciate what you're saying. However, I think you're somewhat misinformed. When you speak of Romney's role in Bain Capital, one of the things that he did that, ironically, people don't talk much about, even those supporting him. And by the way, I'm not a big Romney supporter, but I do recognize the facts. Romney, while at Bain Capital, was a arbitrager, mergers and acquisition specialist. And unlike many arbitragers who acquire companies for the purpose of breaking them up for their component parts, because in many cases companies have a greater component value than aggregated value, he took most of the companies that he acquired and developed expansion. He was a value proposition investor. So he bought companies that were undervalued and then combined resources to increase their productivity and thus increase their value. In doing so, he created jobs, and in doing so, he created benefits for the communities that those companies existed in. And in fact, in many cases, as a result of his activities, created a better standard of living for those communities surrounding the businesses that he invested in, because those communities now had people with greater resources with which to spend in the very community that they existed. So while your facts are somewhat, off, the point that you make is not lost in me. I don't suggest, nor do I promote an abandonment of social concerns. And if you knew anything about my background, you'd know every company that I own and have run for the last 20 years have all had solid social agendas attached to them. But notwithstanding my social focus, I recognize that there is a time and a place for every component of the business process. And in a case where you are sinking, you cannot worry about taking care of your neighbors and your friends. You have to stabilize your foundation. Because if your foundation is not stable, you can't help anybody. Those are the facts.
And Jacob, thank you so much for calling. Here's what you need to do. Could you make, and I touched on this already, I like for you to make an argument. And listen, I don't think the next president needs to just have somewhat improvement. I think the way we're touting this next presidential election is that the very existence, the fabric, the future of America hinges upon it. And I just need to know from you, tell us how Romney or Gingrich or some candidate from a brokered GOP convention is going to do something in such a more phenomenal and earth-shattering way than what we have in the White House now, because then maybe it's the policies, maybe it's the school of thought, maybe it's the pushback against capitalism, maybe it's because we're embracing Europe too much, maybe it's because we don't know how to create jobs. But tell us, what is it that separates them from what we have now? Because we know what we have now.
You know something, Armstrong? Your question is pointed, and I appreciate it. I wish I could be the spoiler and have a completely contrary perspective than your own. The reality of it is, I don't know for a fact that Gingrich, Romney, or any other Republican that steps up to the plate at this point in time is going to be an ounce better than Obama. I don't know, with the focus of that sentence on the word no. But I suspect that someone coming from a value perspective and an understanding of how things really work, as opposed to call up and just ask for more money, Someone who understands the relationship between output and income will have a better shot at correcting the challenges that we face than someone who is a very traditional tax and spend Democrat. This isn't Obama over Romney. This is philosophy as opposed over philosophy. And I don't care whether Obama is in office or Romney or Gingrich, but anybody who has a better understanding of the real-world relationship between cause and effect in the political environment and the business environment will have a better shot at turning around our situation than what we have right now.
Ms. Paulette, you're on with Milo Pinckney. Thank you for calling, and go ahead and ask your question.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
Just fine, and thank you for asking.
To the comment that was made about Romney built communities and things like that, and to his credit, that's good. But did he cross any lines? Did he of ethnicities? Did he help other communities other than the affluent? That's what I want to know.
Milo, can you address that?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, the good news is we got a break in the music. That's the good news. And
I can wait.
And it wasn't planned. It's just a good time to have it. Ms. Paulette, I'm going to ask you to stay there and be patient with us. Milo and I are coming back. We're going to address this. And Ms. Paulette, we have something great that we're going to introduce to the audience and the American people today. The next great American entrepreneur, which is something that Milo and I are launching here on our syndicated radio show. We're going to select 3 entrepreneurs and empower them as the next great American entrepreneur. You're going to hear much more about it here on the Armstrong Williams Show. So you want to stick around for that, and we'll be back so Milo can answer your question.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
High Point University has experienced unprecedented growth during the worst economic disruption in decades. This growth is driven by a university that focuses on holistic education, on experiential learning, and on values-based living. At High Point University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. See what makes High Point University extraordinary at highpoint.edu.
Shh, listen. That's a bullfrog. What's that? A cicada. That's an owl. Wait, what's that?
Oh, the Camptown ladies sing this song. Doo-dah,
I think that's a donkey.
The swamp town mud hole stinks so strong. Oh, da doo da oh.
Shrek!
Hey, kids.
Hi.
That little cicada bug's got nothing on me, right?
Donkey, give the children a little space.
Oh, they got plenty of space, Shrek. Wide open forest space. Why you always telling me to calm down and be quiet? Give them space. Do I talk too much? I'm real good at being quiet. I'm quiet right there. Quiet again. Donkey quiet. Snail quiet. Turtle quiet.
Get out and explore nature. You never know what you might find. To learn more about all the fun stuff waiting for you outdoors, go to discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. This message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
So, kids, you know some consider slugs a delicacy.
Ew!
What if your son or your husband,
your brother, came back from the service with a spinal cord injury?
Paralyzed Veterans of America helps our veterans secure their benefits. You can help. Visit PDA.org, a public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
If you have a question or comment for today's Armstrong Williams Show, call 733-5620. That's 733-5620. Call and be a part of today's Armstrong Williams Show on 620 AM, where knowledge is power.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back. Milo, Ms. Paulette's question is still waiting for your response.
On the table?
Okay,
Ms. Paulette. Good afternoon, Ms. Paulette. You know, let's talk about Bain Capital and some of the specific things that they've done that have translated into jobs and positively impacted communities. I don't know if you've ever heard of a company called Clear Channel, but Clear Channel. Well, Clear Channel is one of the largest radio companies in the world. It also owns probably 75% of the billboards up and down the major highways of the United States.
Okay.
And Bain Capital is the primary owner of Clear Channel. They own 850-plus radio stations across the country, not to mention, thousands upon thousands of billboards and media vehicles. And in as a result of that ownership, they create jobs for all the service technicians that maintain those billboards and create jobs for all the electricians that maintain the lights on those billboards. And they create jobs for all the graphic artists that produce the graphic representations that are placed on those billboards. They provide jobs for the pruners that prune the trees that enable you to see the billboards from the side of the road. And that's just talking about billboards. When we talk about the radio stations that they own, they create jobs in all the communities that those 850 radio stations exist. And while they, yes, produce a return to their investors, who in many cases are affluent, they create returns for many people who are in investment funds that own Clear Channel stock, like TIA Creft and the teachers' unions. So the impact of a company like Bain Capital, and regardless of what belief you have as it relates to Romney's specific and direct control of what occurs, but as a majority shareholder in Bain Capital, he plays a very significant role in the decisions that enable those people to enjoy the jobs that they enjoy. So yes, the answer to your question is he touches affluent all the way down to the guy that cleans the floor.
That's a good answer. You know what? Clear Channel is huge, okay? I can tell you that from
Thank you.
experience.
I just want to have a better understanding when you say he's donated to, and I just want to know where did the monies go, and you mapped it out.
Yes, he did. And look, I learned something today, Ms. Paulette. I was on the receiving end of that benefit. Because Clear Channel...
Actually, Armstrong, you're on some Clear Channel stations.
That's what I realized.
Okay, great.
I realized it.
Great.
Thank you, Ms. Paulette. It's
I
always
got great respect for that.
Yeah, so do I, Ms. Paulette, and thank you for calling. And you know, the wonderful thing about this discussion is that the callers calling because they really want to know. It's not as if they're trying to trap you. They ask because they want to learn, because they really don't know. And the thing that we have to understand in this business, Milo, is that we're here, we learn from them, but also they learn from us. And so I love the fact that when the caller asked you the question, you were very upbeat about it. You did not go on the defensive. You were offensive. You answered the question. You elevated, and she appreciated it. You listen to the Armstrong Williams Show. We're live, 733-5620, 1-866-620-6620. And, you know, and just a wonderful answer. I'm just glad. You have to understand. I just love it when we answer serious questions with real factual answers that can stand on their own. You don't have to disappear, Milo.
Oh, no. You were on a roll there, Armstrong.
No, listen.
Look,
No. I just did not know that about the billboards and the technicians. I just thought, and that's the American way. That is the American entrepreneur. Wayne, you have a comment. Go ahead. Wayne?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon to you and your guests. I'm a little frustrated when I hear people talk about Mitt Romney or Newt Gingrich or Rick Santorum or Barack Obama. They bring it down to an individual. These individuals told water for a party. You got the Democratic Party, you have the Republican Party. My frustration, especially in my community, is that people want to make it about the individual. These are ideas, these are policies. If you adopt an idea into your life, if you say, I'm not really happy with dependency, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to experience business ownership, then to me, you have to look at which party is more practical in line with what you believe in, and that's the party that you have to support. To me, the Democratic Party is about dependency. They have a lot of dependency policies. The Republican Party is about entrepreneurship. There's a lot of, corruption in each party, but it's something that you take into yourself and you live that out. You have to do your homework to find out what these parties are about. I think around election time, people get real emotional and they want to make it about an individual. And I think that that's a total mistake. I think that you should just look at the party, look at the policies of the party, and look at your lifestyle and where you want your lifestyle to go. And I think a lot of people need to be honest about their life and their lifestyle and where they want their lifestyle to go. A lot of Democratic people, a lot of people that support the Democrat Party, you know, are African Americans, but the Democrat Party is a woman's right to choose party. But a lot of African Americans are Christians, and if you really get down to it, a lot of us don't believe in abortion. We're not truthful with ourselves, and we don't ask ourselves that question. I'm not telling everybody to go out and be Republicans. I'm just telling people to take a self-inventory and then judge your candidate or judge the party by your self-inventory, not just because you've been voting that way for a long, long time. Thank you.
I wish I could stand up and applaud for you. 'Cause
I agree with everything he just said. What Wayne said is so true.
Said.
It's well said.
Absolutely.
It is well said. Milo, before we get to our next guest, talk to us about the next great American entrepreneur.
Well, you know, the next great American entrepreneur is a statement on our times. America was a country that is a country that has been built on entrepreneurialism and independent thinking, and people willing to go out on a limb. What we have found in being on the show and talking to many of the listeners is that many of Armstrong's listeners would love the opportunity to be entrepreneurs and own their own businesses. And we're going to partner with Right Side Wire and other companies that support the program to take 3 individuals and make them entrepreneurs and make them the next great American entrepreneurs. And the way we're going to do it is introduce them to programs that are sponsored by these 3 companies, and we're going to enable these potential entrepreneurs to submit applications through the Armstrong Williams website and through submission to the show. And we're going to vet those applicants and award 3 lucky individuals an entrepreneurial business and the support to get it off the ground. And then we're going to track and monitor their growth and progress on the journey. The objective being to send a message to the rest of America that it's going to be the entrepreneur and the small business that fixes the problem, and we're ready to put our money where our mouth is. So Yellow Llama and the Yellow Llama companies are going to ante up and be the first one to offer $20,000 support towards one of the next 3 great American entrepreneurs.
Wow, man. Wow. Listen, I got to tell you something. Just hearing that and being a part of it, but just the dialogue today, man, I am just buzzing in here, man. I am just buzzing off the walls. I just love great ideas. I love thoughtful conversation, respectful, civil, but where people grow. I just thought that Paulette's question and your response was brilliant. I thought what Wayne just added to the conversation was just terrific. We have people on the live stream podcaster who are saying, great question, he's right, yes, sir, and that's what this is about. Aisha, you have a comment, go ahead. Is it Taisha?
Yes.
Hi, Taisha.
How you doing, Mr. Armstrong?
It's been a long time.
I know.
You left me.
I normally don't have time to call the radio because I'm at work. But I wanted to comment on that last guy's statement about how African Americans, you know, and how we vote. And you should look at both of the parties, too. I did look at the Democrats, their belief, and the Republicans, their belief. But, you know, this guy was saying that, you know, if we don't believe in abortion, you ought to be conservative. But
oh, no, that's not what he was saying. The only thing he was saying is just know exactly, because it's not the individual that you should get caught up in. You should look at the platform and what they represent and make sure you're comfortable with that platform. And if you are comfortable with that, then you do what you think is right for your vote. No, that's what he was saying.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you know, I think everybody in their own way, whether you're Democrat or libertarian, everybody has some conservative views, because I'm still very old school. There's a lot of things that I still believe that should go on. And, you know, when you talk about abortion, I kind of dislike when people make it seem like that's a conservative issue, because that's really a Christian issue. You know, God said you're not supposed to murder in the first place, so I don't see why people get caught up in things like homosexuality and abortion, because those shouldn't be considered conservative views. Those should be considered Christian views. And that's what I wanted to say.
Well, and thank you for saying it so well. And thank you for tuning in again. And we're glad to know you're still listening. All right. So what we're going to do, I want to give Milo a chance. Now, Milo, we're going to probably start, we're going to probably start this campaign, the next American Great Entrepreneur. We're probably going to start it next week or the week after because we're on track to launch this. To start with applications that tell people how they can get involved, how they can qualify, how long the campaign is going to last. I mean, you're getting an old man like me excited, brother. I'm fired up on some entrepreneurship because I love the marketplace. I'm telling you, I love the marketplace. Love it.
Well, one thing you got to do for me, my friend, is you can't make a reference to yourself as an old man because I'm older than you.
Well, you know what? I'm old in ideas. I need some new ones, and you're bringing them. I think we're going out early. Well, maybe my clock's off today, but anyhow, when we come back, Ron Lara, certified financial planner, investment and taxation strategist, and the author of a new book, The Retirement Success Solution, is going to join Milo and I here on the Armstrong Williams Show. We'll be back.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
I think we went out early.
The Armstrong Williams Show.
Wednesday, we look at Wall Street and the financial markets with our guest commentator, Logan Delaney, right here on WGCV, 620 a.m. at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
WGCV, where knowledge is power.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933. Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com. For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Make good nutrition and physical activity part of your family's daily lifestyle. Be our guest to healthy living and visit letsmove.gov to learn more. Brought to you by Let's Move, the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
If you have a question or comment for today's Armstrong Williams Show, call 733-5620. That's 733-5620. Call and be a part of today's Armstrong Williams Show on 620 a.m., where knowledge is power.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back. Ron, Laura, how are you today?
Strong?
How are you today?
Good. Woke up this morning, which was positive. Starts off the day right.
So tell us the retirement success solution.
Well, basically, I've been in the investment business for 41 years. And what I found out that, there were a lot of people saying, if you want to retire, you got to have $1 million, $2 million, whatever. But so I take a different tactic that what we do is we determine the growth rate that our clients need to earn, in order to achieve their retirement goals. But more importantly, we integrate the tax planning, and that's where I see a lot of people are missing the boat. They're not really looking at the tax planning and taking advantage of the opportunities that they have. Let me just give you a perfect example. Mitt Romney, here he goes and releases his tax return, and he had self-employed income from speaking. Well, he could have sheltered easily 20% of that, but he didn't. So I mean, here's a man, and he has very, very wealthy, but they're just little things that that he could have done. And also, when I look at his tax return, which he's done extremely well, he doesn't have any tax exempt interest. It's all taxable, so which creates quite a bit of tax for him. So here's a man who's very well educated, but yet he's not taking advantage of a lot of the opportunities that exist. So a lot of your listeners, I don't know whether they're taking advantage of all of the tax opportunities and strategies which are available to go and reduce their federal and state income tax.
And Marlo, what do you say to Ron when you hear this?
It's it's a common problem. The issue with taxation is for most Americans, it's the single largest expense in their lives. Not housing, not transportation. In fact, taxation. Planning for it is a strategic thinking that needs to be started as early in one's career life as possible. The difficulty is that none of the answers that are provided for relative to taxation and tax planning are universally applicable. My tax structure is going to be very different from yours and very different from Ron's or the next person that we speak to. So there isn't any standard patent answer. It requires an individual investigation into each individual experience.
I find it something fascinating that you just said, that the number one problems plaguing most people is not their home and the other issue you mentioned, but you said it's tax and estate planning, really tax planning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the bottom line is most banks won't write a mortgage if the mortgage exceeds 24% of your annual take-home income. Most middle-class people are in the 34% or greater tax bracket.
Ron, could you speak to that?
I couldn't quite hear him that well. But
he said the biggest issues the issues that plague most Americans is not home ownership and paying their mortgage. It's their tax planning. They don't do a good job of understanding the importance of tax planning and the issues that are surrounded with taxes.
I would agree 100% with that. Let me just give you an example, a couple of examples right now. Because interest rates are very, very low, there thousands and thousands of people, as they're approaching their retirement years, are buying annuities from life insurance companies. So they can take their money and they can get a monthly income. What happens if they went to their favorite charity and bought their annuity from their charity or their alma mater? It's called a gift annuity. They get all the exact same type of tax benefits. A good portion is tax-free, and a portion is taxable. But in addition, they also get a significant tax deduction, which they wouldn't have if they bought it from the insurance company. So they might want to go to their alma mater, or if they have a national charity, and see about maybe buying their annuity instead of buying it from an insurance company. Now the problem is the insurance salesman is not going to wind up making that commission. But that's something which the average person isn't aware of, and they're missing out on getting that tax deduction.
This is a very important discussion with our guests, Ron, Laura, and let me just tell you why. Careful planning, and I can tell you this from my own experience, and I'm sure Milo will concur, that careful planning throughout the year can really assist you in reducing the taxes you pay, as well as in many ways help you achieve many of your financial goals. I mean, and it should not be done in isolation. I think that is critical, but instead should be driven by your overall financial goals and integrated with your total financial plan. And by developing and implementing appropriate strategies to lessen or even shift current and future tax liabilities, I mean, you can improve your prospects of meeting long and short-term objectives. Let me give you an example. If accurately projecting your income taxes can help you determine the cash flow available to you in the coming year. And you have to keep in mind that tax laws, my God, are often complex and frequently change. I mean, changing all the time. And as a consequence, it's almost necessitates that you could consult your tax advisor before making any investment and tax decisions. Milo?
No, I would agree with everything you're saying, Armstrong. What I would add to it is that in any type of fiscal planning strategy, that you not only integrate your current financial experience, but plan for what you intend for your financial experience to be coming forward, because that will substantially impact upon the decisions you make today. I've always owned businesses and have had assets that created various liabilities for me. For me, it was always critical to turn my liabilities away from myself individually and have them be carried by my businesses, so that I carried less of a personal tax burden. Because, quite frankly, there's greater opportunity to manage taxes successfully through business structures than through individual structures.
Laura, Ron?
Yes.
Your comments?
Again, I'm having a great deal of trouble hearing Milo.
That's okay. You can hear me very well, so go ahead. What simple steps should people take in planning their taxes, man?
Well, I mean, first of all, they should really, deal with a good financial planner, or if not, they should sit down with their accountant, and because and also they should know how much they can earn, and to try and keep out of going in from the 15 into the 25% tax bracket. For a married couple, they can earn $70,000. They can have taxable income of $70,700. But they also have, personal exemptions, which are going to take about, $6,800. Then they have a standard deduction. So, you don't really get into the 25% tax bracket until your income is well into the, about $86,000. But, they should also learn that, okay, say I'm in the 25% bracket, but maybe they could do an IRA, or they could, to go and drop their income down below, to shelter that 25% tax bracket. And Armstrong, if you live in the District of Columbia, you got an 11% city rate on top of that. So, if you could just reduce, by $1,000 or $2,000 in the 25% tax bracket, and you're a district resident, you're saving about 34% tax on that money. And so it's really important to look at that and try and keep your income in the, shelter as much of your income once you get over that 25% tax bracket.
Milo?
It's interesting, Armstrong. The point that he makes is a good one, but there's a subtext in that. Because what we're talking about is substantively an employed class of American that falls into the brackets that he's describing. And my focus would be to move more and more people into the entrepreneurial sphere, so that not only could they increase their revenues beyond those $60,000, $70,000 thresholds, but so they could take advantage of some of the much greater tax advantages that are made available only to business owners. And for the person who's making $40,000 to $70,000 a year, that person probably has a bigger need to develop some home-based business to shelter their income, because they're going to be able to shelter more of their income, even their W-2 income, through offsets generated in their home-based business than they will by any type of traditional investment strategy.
Finally, before we say goodbye to our guest, Ron, Laura, how can somebody reach you and secure more information about you?
Well, they can go to our website, retirementsuccesssolution.com, and there's a link there to go and click, and they can ask us questions. And we have a lot of great, tax strategies that they can just look at on the internet, to see, what can I do? I mean, there's so many different types of qualified plans, IRAs, simple IRAs, SEPs, UniKs. I mean, which one do you use? So I would, again, go to our website, retirementsuccesssolution.com, and they can, send us an email, ask us questions. We can have one of our advisors. We have offices in the Washington, D.C. area, Colorado, and Austin, Texas.
Listen, thank you so much.
We have clients all over the world.
All over the world. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be in touch with you, Ron.
Okay, Armstrong. Have a great day.
You too now.
Thank you.
Milo, in the minute and a half we have left, I just want you to give another plug for the next great American entrepreneur, for those that are just joining us in this interval of the Armstrong Williams Show.
Well, I think that the best thing I can say is for everybody to stay tuned, because the events coming in the next few weeks will shed light on the program and open the floodgates of opportunity for those that really want to pursue individual and economic freedom. I'd also like to mention one other thing, Armstrong, if I might. Yellow Llama Companies and YellowLllama.com just released one of its latest products. It's free to people seeking jobs. Go to YellowLllama.com and go to the jobs board. We're looking to do everything we can do to help Americans who are unemployed and underemployed seek gainful employment and get back on the track to economic freedom.
Much respect for you, Milo. I love the fact that you say what you believe, and just appreciate you. I mean, I appreciate your success. You're willing to come in every day to share your time, your intellect, and just exchange ideas with our audience. And we really look forward to it. And we really look forward truly to the next American entrepreneur.
Armstrong, thanks a lot. If I could just close on one point. It is critical in our community that those of us who have had the privilege to do well share the wisdom, share the experience, and most of all, share the know-how to help the next generation do the same. We've got to help our own.
Yes. Thank you so much. And listen, audience, you're just fantastic today. You're just wonderful. Let me tell you, it's Paulette and Wayne and Ron. I know I can't remember all of you, and Taisha and just Jacob. You guys are just wonderful. You're the best part of the show. And you know what? I know we care about each other. I can admit that. I really have built such a strong bond with this audience. You can't help but be together so long like we are and not build sort of a kind of relationship. We may fuss a little bit, but we understand each other. And I must tell you, I will leave the airwaves today just beaming, because I was just so proud today. I was just so proud of the questions, of the answers, the dialogue. It's so civil. It's so refreshing. It's just such a good feeling, man. I have such a good feeling right now. I know you can hear me just smiling like a Cheshire cat through the microphone, and because I am. Thank you all so much. Thank you, WGCV, Alex Snipes, Yolanda, Tony Jameson. Thank you all so much for making this possible. Listen to us every night on Sirius 128 at 7 p.m. Armstrong Williams. So long. Just for now, though. Take care. Virtuous society. Armstrong. I dare you to listen. Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong. Elevate your mind. Armstrong. I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers. Armstrong. The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up.
The views and opinions expressed